Okay, morning everybody. The title of this series of broadcasts is Let's Avoid World War III Together. Okay? Therefore, it's directed toward everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a Muslim, if you're a Jew, if you're a Christian, if you live in Israel, if you live outside of Israel, if you live somewhere else in the world. We're all part of this together, okay? And one thing is for sure, is that no person, unless he's a complete psychopath, wants to harm himself, okay? Some people might want to harm others. That's already a matter of choice and of personal preferences. But only idiots, only complete fools will want to harm themselves. Now, when it comes to the situation at hand, which is maybe one of the most sensitive situations in human history ever, in which we are in currently, because it can easily escalate into a world war that will be more painful than the last one for everybody involved, we should all think very carefully about the way we perceive the situation, the kind of opinions and views we have about the current situation, because it might be that our current views, if we will lead us to push the world in the wrong direction, would lead us to a situation for which we will afterwards regret. So in the short run, they might seem like the right thing to do, but in the long run, they might be very painful. For instance, let me give you an example. Hamas, this despicable terror organization, attacked the country of Israel, the state of Israel, declared war against it. You can say there was war before and it didn't start from nothing and so on, but let's face it, okay? It was an act of attack on the state of Israel. And then Israel retaliated, okay? Then they're coming to the world the worldwide community to denounce and genocide and whatever. Okay? So people should decide what they really want. What they really want. If you want war, then war involves pain. And if you want peace, then peace involves changing the current situation. But if you want both, it doesn't really work together. Hamas never said they want peace. Okay? Hamas does not want peace. Hamas, let's make it clear. Hamas, which is the chosen government of the people of Gaza, wants to obliterate Israel, and after they obliterate Israel, they want to establish a caliphate over all of the area of Palestine, including Jordan, and afterwards to expand this caliphate to the whole world. Okay, so you need to be very clear about what people want. Okay, Hamas is not just ordinary Palestinians. Okay, and the people of Gaza are not just Palestinians. Okay, they have a certain agenda, a certain ideology, contrary, for instance, to the Palestinian Authority, that is confined, let's say, to the region of Palestine. Like Abu Mazen, he has no colonialist, occupationalist views beyond just the region of Palestine, which we would shortly discuss what exactly this is. But Hamas, when you say free Gaza, you need to understand that you want to free Islamist radical worldview that wants to establish a caliphate over all the world. If you will free them, they will come to you also, assuming that you are in Europe. If you're a Muslim and think that it's a great idea, then you need to know that a lot of people, including in the Muslim world, do not want this kind of dictatorship ruling over them. For instance, for the simple reason that you as a Muslim probably are listening to this broadcast in YouTube. It means that you're the kind of Muslim that has access to YouTube. The people of Gaza do not have access to YouTube. They cannot listen even to this kind of content. Why? Because in Gaza, Hamas controls the internet, not Israel, Hamas. And they have special, I would say filters over the internet, that even those people in Gaza that have internet can only access websites that are allowed by Hamas. So think carefully if you as a Muslim that is now in the more or less relatively free world want to live under such a dictatorship. This is what you want for yourself. You support the people of Gaza, you show your support, you show how devout you are and so on, but at the end of the day, since you are listening to this broadcast, you still enjoy the fact that you can listen to YouTube. The people of Gaza cannot do this. And if other Muslims would live under Hamas, ISIS control, they will also not be able to do this. To such a level that even if you will free Gaza and the people of Gaza will slaughter and make a Holocaust to the whole Jews all over in Israel, afterwards, the next they will put into the concentration camps and kill them will be the Palestinians themselves. The Palestinians which are non-Muslim Hamas like they are. How do we know this? Because they've done this in the past. Okay? Because they killed the people that were not radical Muslims in Gaza since they took control over Gaza. They killed Palestinians, okay? They kill Palestinians also today. Hamas kills Palestinians. Hamas do not care for the life of Palestinians, okay? So when you show your support for Hamas, it's not exactly supporting Palestine, okay? They don't give shit, sorry to say, about the Palestinians. The leaders of Hamas do not even live in Gaza. They live in Qatar, they live in all sorts of other radical Muslim states, and they operate Gaza from afar. Okay, so you need to ask yourself, do you really support the Palestinians, or are you using the Palestinians because you hate Israel for your own reasons? I saw some anti-Semite Christian in Twitter, and he's obsessive over Palestine, obsessive over Gaza, obsessive completely. And one of the things he says, Elon Musk, you need to connect Gaza to the internet because you give Israel certain benefits, so why not giving them to the people of Gaza, and why not connecting the people of Gaza to the internet through Starlink or something like this, some internet network that Elon Musk is the owner of. And you tell him, what a hypocrite you are. Your hatred towards the Jews, simply pure anti-Semitism. Okay, now if a person wants to be anti-Semite, I can't tell him what to do, but you can still call a person a fool. Yeah, if he is. The people of Gaza do not have internet because of Hamas. Okay? They don't have internet because Hamas doesn't let them have internet. If you will be found in Gaza watching a clip on YouTube, let's say Beyonce, and Hamas will find you watching a clip of YouTube in Beyonce, they will execute you. You're not allowed to listen to music in Gaza. That's why people like Roger Waters, for instance, are beyond my comprehension. He's so hateful towards the Jews. And again, I'm not judging anybody. You can hate whoever you want. I don't care. Hate me. It's like, I don't care. It's your opinion. It's whatever. But don't be a fool. Don't be, it's embarrassment to humanity to see such pits of stupidity. Seriously. It's just embarrassing. It's not like scary or it's just pitiful. I mean, Roger Waters is a huge supporter of the BDS. Let's remember. He's an ex-member of Pink Floyd, okay? Yeah, because I don't want Pink Floyd, this and the huge contribution to human culture, to be somehow blemished by this imbecile. But you see, Roger Waters, for instance, yeah, and please forgive me that it's very like associative, this broadcast, but you see that it has a point. Roger Waters, for instance, is a huge supporter of the Palestine, yeah? Supposedly, of Gaza and so on. Okay, everybody knows that. But his hypocrisy is just knows no end. Once you listen to what he's saying, it's clear that he's not for Palestine. A lot of the people that hate Israel, for whatever reasons they might have, do not hate Israel because of whatever it does to the Palestinians. It's a lie, it's a fake. They hate it because they want something to hate. They enjoy to hate, and they are using the, let's say, innocent population within Palestine to recruit them and push them to fight against Israel. You understand? They use the people, the Palestinian people, as recruits to engage the fight and war that they want to engage against Israel for their own benefits. And that's very miserable. Because if you really care for people and for human rights, you will think carefully what is truly good for these people. You understand the point? When we are talking about Palestine and the people of Palestine, there's a lot of pressure that comes from all over the world for these people to fight against Israel. And this pressure sometimes comes from all sorts of contradictory sources. Neo-Nazis, communist anti-Semites, radical Muslim jihadists. By the way, as we've discussed in the previous broadcast, between true Islam and Judaism, there's no real war. There's never been a war between Islam and Judaism. On the contrary, Jews and Muslims lived for many years before Muhammad, after Muhammad, but Muslims before Muhammad is a bit complicated term, but let's say Arabs lived in coexistence with Jews before Muhammad, after Muhammad, during the time of Muhammad also, okay? But this modern view that Islam has, modern, if you can call our world modern, this confused view that Islam by itself has a war with Judaism is simply, it's pushing us all to World War III, and we should avoid it unless we're out of our minds. But the normal people that do not want, I don't know, the world to be destroyed should avoid it. So let's go back to Roger Waters, okay? Roger Waters is a musician. That's the source from which he makes his livelihood. The kind of Islam that Hamas practices, it's not even Islam. I don't know how to even refer to this sick mutation that they have brewed to themselves due to all the mental confusion and cacophony that they are under. But this kind of mutation of Islam that they practice prohibits music. Okay? If Roger Waters would want to perform in Gaza, they would behead him. Okay, so how can you support a population, a doctrine, a worldview that literally goes against you by yourself? Okay, so it's simply beyond me. It's beyond my comprehension. By the way, it's something that many people don't know. But in 1995, before Roger Waters went through this he was always radical, but before he went to this like crazy radicalization, Pink Floyd with Roger Waters, before they split, before they kicked him out, came to Israel. It was in 1995, in more or less the time of, I think it was 1995. Yeah, it was 1995. Before they came, at the time of the sort of like still there were peace talks. People were under the impression that these peace talks would lead somewhere. And it was before the takeover of Hamas also, but still, Pink Floyd decided to perform in Israel. And since Roger Waters was so opinionated about the issue, he demanded that this show would be held not in Tel Aviv, but close by to the border with Gaza. Not to the border with Ramallah, with the border in Gaza, in a place called Kerem Shalom. The geographical area where it happened is more or less in proximity to where was this peace festival in which so many people got slaughtered. By the way, Jews, non-Jews, it was an international sort of music festival that Hamas slaughtered a huge part of the people that were slaughtered in this party today in 2023, in our times. But the place where Roger Waters insisted that the Pink Floyd concert in 1995 will be held is more or less the same place. On the border with Gaza. Of course, this is a huge event, even much, much bigger than this festival that we're talking about. And then the borders were not so secure as they are today. It's insane, it's insane. But first of all, Pink Floyd has huge followers, huge base in Israel. And the concert was supposed to be huge. But he not only demanded that it would be close to the border, he demanded that people from within Gaza, if they so wish, would also be able to participate in the concert, Jews and Arabs alike. Now, remarkably, the Israeli government agreed to this. It consulted to this. And as a result, the whole security system of Israel was recruited in order to make sure that this concert would be held and that it would be held in a secure manner. And tickets were sold for the Pink Floyd concert in Gaza. And let me just explain you. It was sold in Gaza before the Hamas regime, before the official Hamas regime in Gaza. So technically, any person from Gaza that would have wanted to come and listen to a Pink Floyd concert could have came. It was an insane production. It was absolutely insane thing to do in terms of complexity and the securing of the place and making sure that there will not be any kind of hostilities. And the operation was simply out of this world. It's way beyond just a normal, ordinary concert. And what happened is the following, that you need to understand, for people in Israel to come to this area takes quite a travel. So it's not just an ordinary concert that you will go in Tel Aviv, in the center of the country, and just come to a concert. It involves a risk, and it involves the fact that it's simply not in the center. And what happens was that the concert was packed. It was maybe one of the biggest concerts in the history of Israel, definitely until that time. And many people came to listen to Pink Floyd. I by myself, I was a teenager then. too young to go by myself, and I didn't go, but I did want to go. I wanted to go. I was, like many Israelis, a huge Pink Floyd fan. But it was only Israelis. The Palestinians simply did not come. Not one, maybe one, two, but it was empty. There was simply no demand. Why? Why? Because Gaza is a predominantly Muslim society. They do not listen to Pink Floyd. If Roger Waters would have wanted to make the concert in Gaza, they would not allow him. Not only would they not allow him, they would behead him if we would insist to do this. Because in Gaza there's no music. Okay? So when you're in the West and you're listening to this clip in YouTube, you should ask yourself, by supporting Hamas, are we really supporting the people of Gaza? Are we really caring for them? Or are you just hypocrites that want these people to live under a regime that is so radical that it will fight against Israel just because you hate Israel? And you want them to live without even Israel being involved in a kind of regime that you don't want for yourselves. That's hypocrisy. So the Palestinian people, the people that live in this region, and I'm talking about the innocent ones amongst them, I'm not talking about the ones that are filled with hate and they are being used as pawns by all sorts of contradictory agendas. That the only thing that unites them is the fact that they want Israel gone. But aside from this, you can hardly make any kind of true unified agenda from these people, aside again from their wish to obliterate Israel. But once you untangle this bundle, you see that each one of these agendas by itself will never attain what it really wants by supporting this war. Never. And not more than this. The true evil forces that are forces of hate are not the majority of the people that support Palestine. Let me repeat this again. They are not the majority of the people that support Palestine. The Palestinian people, and it's no secret, the people of Gaza have huge support around the world because of their misery, because it's something that we do not want to see in the 21st century. We do not want to see human suffering. Nobody wants to see, nobody, at least if he's a decent, normal, not psychopathic human being, does not want to see human beings suffer. You need to be a piece of shit in order to want people to suffer. So, on the face of this, I would say only 5% of the warmongers that support the people of Palestine because of anti-Semitism are maybe 5% of the supporters of Palestine. And 95% are truly supporting the suffering of these people because they genuinely want good. And it's a shame that such a force of good, such a force, an honest force within humanity, is being led and disinformed and channeled to such a wrong direction. And not to say that supporting so that these people will not suffer is the wrong direction. It's not. Like it's nobody should suffer, yeah? In the 21st century, we should strive for true peace. But a lot of the people that have their eyes to this region and to the conflict in this region and to the problems in this region are being channeled and being disinformed and misdirected so that all these good energies will not have any kind of beneficial outcome. On the contrary, because the 5% of the people that give the information about what's going on there and what it's really about and what the conflict is really about, they are the ones with the most vicious agenda about this. And they are the one telling you what it's all about. You see, when I mentioned this Christian pastor that is so in Twitter, it's not Christian pastor, God forbid to say that this is the views of Christians, or even the majority of Christians, even a tiny percent of Christians. This person is just crazy anti-Semite and is using the fact that he's a Christian to justify his hate. But it's simply insane to see how many Muslim followers he has, how much he supports Hamas, what in terms of really putting aside the hatred towards Israel that he has, his worldviews are contradictory to Hamas. It makes no sense. And then you know that this is pure anti-Semitism and nothing else. It's not ideology. It's not a true, honest agenda. It's not anything of this sort. It's just pure hate that unifies these people. And when you, as a decent human being, looking at this and asking yourself, do I want to recruit myself at the eve of maybe World War III to forces of pure hate, to non-honest forces? It's clearly not coming out of honesty. And you should ask it not because it would be the right thing to do, or maybe, I don't know, God wants you to love the children of Israel or something of this sort. No, because it can inflict on your family, it can inflict on the place where you live. If you will let these forces rise, these barbaric forces. And again, it's not to hinder your care and worry for the Palestinian people and their suffering, but you need to understand that if you will recruit yourself to the worldview of these people, this barbaric pack of Hamas plus radical left-wing revolutionists and so on, and plus fundamentalist Christian anti-Semites, nothing good going to come out of it for anybody. You see Irish people. This, I simply don't understand. Irish people, nationalist Irish people. Now, I have all the respect for the Irish people, but they're not known for their love for Israel. They're not one of the things they're known for. But they're so ardently, in Ireland, there's such an ardent support for Hamas, which is simply beyond me. One thing, I can understand hate. I can understand viciousness. I can understand it. I understand that some people derive pleasure out of it. But no person should derive pleasure out of being a complete fool, like making a complete idiot out of yourself. Because you see, when you see Irish people sitting in a football game, drinking beer, and lifting Hamas and Palestinian flags, and they don't see the joke in it. What a paradox this is. How on earth can you even support this? Ireland is known for many things, for its music, for its culture, for a lot of things, but partially, one of the main things that Ireland is very much known for is for its high quality alcohol. It's part of the culture, it's part of the Irish culture. Guinness, Kilkenny, Irish whiskey, Scottish whiskey also, the Scots. Similar thing. In Gaza, which you support, if you will be caught with a Guinness beer, you will be beheaded. Irish is a predominantly Christian society. If you will be caught in Gaza as a Christian, and assuming that you're not from the Red Cross or whatever, or from some sort of European organization, you will be beheaded. And if you will let this kind of Hamasi, ISIS, Muslim ideology into your country, they will do to you what they want to do in Israel. They say so. So how on earth can you support this? What's wrong with you? I mean, sometimes anti-Semites are so blinded by their hatred towards Jews that they don't see that they're digging their own fucking grave. Sorry to say so. If you as Irish people support ISIS Muslim fundamentalism like Hamas, you will be next. What? You want to replace the Irish pubs with mosques? So idiocy and stupidity is something, this is really something that cannot grasp. So the point is that if we really want life and not death, and also about this I will say something, we really need to start untangling and seeing the anatomy of the kind of support that the Palestinian people are getting worldwide. And we see here maybe 3, 4, 5 components. One component is the 95% of the people that are simply honest, good, willing people, good-hearted people that are doing so not out of anything else but true care to the suffering of people. And they don't want to see people suffer. These people are the dormant majority of the supporters of Palestine. You see, people go to campuses, they go to campuses around the world, and they ask basic questions about the Palestinian-Israeli conflict in the unis. They ask American supporters, they ask European supporters, they even ask Muslims. And you see that a lot of people that naturally are inclined to support Palestine do not know a lot of basic information about the issue. They do it out of pure good-hearted honesty, but without a lot of basic information. Some people don't even know to point out on the map where it is. They do not know really basic fundamental questions. You ask them basic questions about the history of the people, they do not know. Now, when you are touching something so sensitive, so it is 95% of the people, I would say, educate yourself. But not because, God forbid, I'm trying to say something negative about you. Because I'm saying when you touch such a sensitive issue that can really literally escalate into World War III, it's your obligation that if you already want to touch it, you must be very, very well informed and listen to all the panoramic views about it before you make your opinion. And I'm not saying, maybe even my opinion is not the complete one. I don't even voice an opinion. I'm just voicing a recommendation to look at things logically. You can come to whatever conclusion you want to come. You can listen now, I don't know, to speeches by Hamas. I don't care. But be very well informed. Understand that it's much more tricky than you think. Okay? So to this 95% of the people, I would say, inform yourself, educate yourself, see the whole views, and don't make your opinion about the issue before you hear all the opinions. Second of all, and not just all the opinions, try to make a hierarchy of the opinions. Try to see which ones hold up to criticism, which ones can also answer your question, which ones make sense logically. Now, the rest of the 5% within the supporters really do not do so out of good intent. They do not do this out of an honest heart. And there's a huge and weird mixture within these supporters of all sorts of things that really cannot come together. They cannot cooperate unless hate would unite them. Radical left wings, socialists, communists, together with radical Muslims, supposedly together. They're not together, they don't seem together. The people of Ireland do not go to Gaza in order to help them because they cannot enter Gaza. Not because of Israel, because Hamas will not let them. Okay? And radical, fundamentalist, anti-Semite branches, minority branches of Christianity, and so on and so on. And it all mixes together into an impossible blend. Now, I mentioned the people that do not want death. Also, there are people that do want death. Some of the Hamas supporters are so radical Muslims, fundamentalist Muslims, God forbid to say that this is all Muslims, that they really chant. They chant it, and they chant it also, by the way, in the cities in the cities like London, in Paris, and so on. And say they want death. They're not afraid of death. Fine. But also, these people need to remember that when they say that they are not afraid of death, because they believe that there is the life after. Yeah, life after death. Now, it's all well and fine, but you need to remember that the Muslims learned it to begin with from the Jews and from the Christians. The concept of I saw some Muslim person saying, we are fighting because we believe in heaven and life after death, so death does not scare us, but our enemies do not believe in it. What? What are you talking about? Judaism, you took this from Judaism. This Garden of Eden that you believe, it is from the Jewish Bible. It's from the beginning of the book of Genesis. That's where you took it from. So to say that the Jews do not believe in the world to come is simply ridiculous. Inform yourself. Okay? So also the radical Muslims are very mistaken. Very, very mistaken. You are fighting against the people from which you took the faith in the world to come, in the afterlife. But also these people need to remember that the afterlife is not just heaven, there is also a concept of hell. And even if you are certain that you are a true devout Muslim, worker of Allah, the most devout Muslim, and you are willing to behead and kill and slaughter and pave your way to heaven in blood and bloodshed, you need to understand that you might be going to hell. Okay? You must be very careful. You should also educate yourself. Be very careful. Before you start beheading people, you should be sure that if you do it in order to go to heaven, that this is the true path for heaven for you. Maybe you're deceived. So I understand you're not afraid from death. But you're not afraid from death because you've been deceived to think that you will automatically go to heaven. Just because you follow this kind of Islam that you have brewed for yourself. But I remind you that if you are so devout and radical, you need to remember that there is also hell waiting. Are you sure you're going to heaven? By ascribing yourself and being seduced and deceived by certain agendas of pushing you into war, that some of them are clearly not Muslim. People are chanting behind you with a beer in their hand in Ireland, "Go Gaza, go Gaza." Roger Waters, the devout Muslim, pushes you, go fight against the Jews in my name. I'm not sure that it's pure Islam that you're following. A lot of the money for Gaza doesn't come from Muslim sources. If you are, I don't know, some Hamas terrorist that got a paycheck from Roger Waters, here, I contribute to Hamas to go fight in my anti-Semitic war. Are you sure? Are you doing the will of Allah or are you doing the will of Roger Waters? So also the people that are afraid not afraid from death, but are afraid from the afterlife, they need to remember that there's also hell. You need to check whose will are you really making. Are you making the will of God? Or are you making the will of a few tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of non-Muslim people somewhere in Europe chanting free Gaza with a bottle of beer in their hand? check it out. Inform yourself. Also if you're deeply, deeply religious. Okay? So, let's wrap up this broadcast part 2 out of Let's Avoid World War III Together. And this is if you are a bystander, observer at what is looking at the current issue now in Gaza / Palestine / Israel, whatever you want to call it. Inform yourself. Check out who is to the right. When you go to the demonstration for Gaza, check out who's on the right, on your right, and check out who's on your left. Check out, does it add up? Or are you pushing certain people to go to a war that will inflict on them only more pain and suffering instead of peace? Are you imposing on them an impossible situation with the burden of the whole world that recruits them into a war that would lead only to pain and suffering for the people you supposedly claim to care for? So, God willing, we will make a few other broadcasts on this subject. And people will understand that the greatest weapon that we currently have in order to avoid World War III is information. True information. True logic and rational thinking. Discussions, debates, but out of an attempt to find the truth, not just out of hatred. Okay, so I think that's enough for today. Have a good day.